Can I carry on?
Yeah.
You say that's a lovely way of being. About 800 years ago, there was a very, very wonderful and gifted spiritual teacher called Jalaluddin Rumi. And he was known as the Mevlana, the great teacher. And he founded an esoteric group called the Mavlevi Sufis. Most people know them as the whirling dervishes. And Rumi was a great poet, and he wrote profusely. And he kept it simple. He said, there is a pathway which is the foundation for all the great faiths, which pervades each one of them, rises above them and transcends them all. And that is the pathway of love. And he further went on to define that as the pathway of love, compassion, and service. Love and compassion are wonderful sentiments. But that's all they bloody well are, unless you use them as the motor for action. And the action is always in helping other people less fortunate than yourself. Martin Luther King summed it up 60 years ago when he accepted the Nobel Peace Prize. And he said, "We have learnt to fly in the air like birds. We have yet to learn to walk on the earth like brothers." And the objective of every single spiritual pathway in history is precisely that. To stress the brotherhood of man, the unity of the human family. And for me, I don't care if people are black, brown, white, yellow, some glorious mixture in between, male or female, young or old, straight or gay, we're all part of the same family. And we have a sacred duty to care for each other. And all the spiritual pathways teach this, those from the East and those from the West. It was summed up by another Sufi teacher, a more modern one, a wonderful man called Sheikh Rajib Frajere, who wrote a beautiful book about 30 years ago called Love is the Wine, which I can recommend to anybody. And in it he wrote, spirituality is a river that descended to earth through Adam. May God grant him peace. It was refreshed by the great prophets like Abraham and Moses and Elisha and John the Baptist and Jesus. May God grant them peace. By the great prophet Muhammad, may his name be blessed, and may God grant him peace. It is a river that knows no boundaries in space or culture or time. Yet, sadly, but understandably, every race, every creed, every culture claims it for its own. My children, it is always the same river. So it matters very little what spiritual path you follow, because you will follow one where you feel comfortable, where the terminology is familiar and the concepts are familiar. But you will be asked to develop and shown means to develop exactly the same qualities of life: humility and service and love. And ultimately, the objective is always the same. That is the true search for the Holy Grail.